Thank you, Las Ceann Comhairle, and I thank the Ceann Comhairle's office for selecting this very important, urgent debate, and the Minister for his attendance in connection with Holy Family Primary School and the delay of delivering same. First of all, this is the third debate that I've brought up in this House in connection with this school. I've had dozens of parliamentary questions, numerous meetings over the last number of years, as far back as 2008, and we were given a revised completion date for the 9th time this week. The 9th time this week. And what we currently have, if you look out at that school, is a school that still remains 82% complete, a site which still remains under-resourced, a site which has subcontractors walking off it, a site which has windows being removed from the school, all of this uncertainty, and we're no further along. And this is absolutely infuriating for staff, for parents, and everyone involved in the delivery of this school. And if we just reflect on this for a moment, we have 30 staff, 332 pupils, 276 families, operating out of a 1942 two-teacher school with no ancillary services. That's what we are presiding over now in the 21st century. We have staff which are now given jurisdiction over 3 campuses, St Lomans, the 1942 school, and St Etchens in Kinnegad. You have parents bringing the new 42 children which have been enrolled over those 3 sites, and some the most vulnerable children that need early intervention and need a social setting that is, number 1, secure, and number 2, which is certain. And I think, Minister, we really need clarity and certainty now as to when this school can be delivered, or if the current contractor has the capacity to deliver this school, because we can't go on any further. When you look at this, 9 completion dates, and if we think that the 2020 enrolment for new students will be in January, when the parish goes about its enrolment procedures, and you have a principal and staff being asked then to take on more students when you have a situation that currently pertains. So there is one common denominator here, and I've seen parliamentary questions which were responded to by your office in connection with this contractor around the country, of which he is consistently late and there is consistent issues. And I want to put on record too, a lot of people have shown criticism to the local authority. The local authority is not involved in the service delivery or project management of those other sites. So there is a common denominator here. And I think the Minister needs to do everything I can, which I acknowledge he's been exceptionally helpful. And I know he was down adjacent to the site trying to do everything in his power. But we need to really get a certain date, and this is what this is about. We need a date that can be adhered to, and if capacity isn't there, or for some reason, whatever it may, that date cannot be delivered upon, well then action needs to be taken. And I know there is criticism saying in the community that this action should have been taken already because of the fact we're on our 9th date. But believe you me, the staff, the principal in this school are unsung heroes and deserve a medal at this stage in terms of the frustration, the parents, the frustration they're going through, and naturally they are manifesting that in all of us because they have no certainty and they have no pathway, no date, just an 82% completed site.
Yeah, good morning. Las Ceann Comhairle. I'd like to thank the Deputy for the opportunity to update the House on the position with respect to Holy Family National School in Mullingar. The House will recall that there have been very significant delays with this delivery of this project. These delays arose initially because of unforeseen ground conditions and other similar issues which can arise in any building project. However, in recent months, I have been hugely disappointed to see that progress on site has been extremely slow, and we are still not entirely clear as to the reasons why this has been the case. The most recent programme provided by the contractor for this project indicated a completion date of late October. There was an initial acceleration of activity on site at the time this programme was provided. However, I regret having to report to the House that neither the Department nor Westmeath County Council, to whom the project has been devolved for delivery, are satisfied with how these works have been progressing in recent weeks. The House will already be aware that a number of matters have been raised through the dispute resolution mechanisms of the Public Works contract in respect of this project, as would normally happen in major building projects. The resolution of these issues is now at a critical juncture. I wish to inform the House that a meeting will be taking place later this week in that respect. This meeting will be attended by officials from Westmeath County Council, supported by its design team. I also wish to inform the House that officials from my department will also be in attendance. I'm going to just take this opportunity to acknowledge the work of Westmeath County Council and indeed the design team for their proactivity in trying to move this forward. Given this, I cannot get into detail of the matters that are the subject of this conciliation process, except to say in broad terms that the issues being considered are technical issues and the issues of delay. And the issue of delays. A revised programme has also been sought in that context, and we also expect to get greater clarity on why the project has been so significantly delayed. I hope that these and all outstanding matters can be addressed through this process. I also hope that it will provide an outcome that we can be satisfied with. Such an outcome will be confidential. However, I can express my hope that in finding a resolution to all these matters, there can be no reason for the project not to move forward at pace. For it is a matter of the greatest concern to me that the pupils, students, staff and school community of Holy Family National School are not yet in situ in a school which was initially scheduled for completion in September 2018. However, I am very thankful to the patron and school management of both Holy Family National School and St Etchens in Kinnegad, who have gone out of their way to arrange for the provision of temporary school accommodation for the special needs pupils impacted by these delays. We are also thankful to St Loman's GAA Club for its assistance in providing extra classroom space for the pupils of Holy Family National School. It is hugely disappointing that it has been necessary to activate these contingency arrangements. We remain hopeful that they will only be needed for a short while. Until then, Westmeath County Council will continue to keep the school authority and patron body fully informed of progress on site. At the same time, officials from my department will continue to liaise with the Holy Family patron with respect to contingency arrangements should the project be delayed any further. I sincerely hope that we will be in a position over the coming days to provide the Holy Family School Authority with some further clarity on progress on site. More particularly, we hope that progress from now on will be to everyone's satisfaction. But I do put in a caveat, because I've already stood in front of you, Deputy, when you've raised this issue before, and put on record a time frame. I can just, I understand that the intensity of the feeling in your community is palpable. It's gone beyond frustration, and I would appeal to the contractor to just meet this challenge head on. There's contractual obligations I'm not going to get into, but all I would say, I would appeal at a human level to the people who are delivering this project, the contractors who are delivering, the contractor who's delivering this project, to just for 1 second feel the frustration and the feeling of let down, the feeling of anger and intensity of feeling of so many false dawns, so many false expectations in terms of this being delivered. And I would like to thank you again, Deputy, for raising this. And to be honest, there's not a week goes by that you're not on to me in relation to this issue.
Deputy Burke, supplementary.
Thank you, Count Corla, and I thank the Minister for his response. And I note that there is a meeting taking place on Friday, but we do need absolute clarity at that meeting. This project cannot endure any further revised programme of works that the contractor is unable to meet. And maybe a hard decision has to be taken, but that has to be taken on Friday if we do not get certainty from this. And as I mentioned before in previous debates, when you go down through the long list, September 15, 16 and 18, October 18, December 18, April 19, June 19, July 19 and October 19 this week, the school was supposed to be complete with sign-off in October and students moving in November. That's what we're left with. And it is galling when you drive by that site in the 21st century to see it under-resourced. And I drive by it on a daily basis, where you can see all through the period from when this contractor signed the contract, under-resourced, even when blocks were being laid. Specifically, not enough people. You wouldn't have enough to build a 2,000 square foot house on the site that was resourced on this site consistently. And that's why we're more than 2.5 years down the road when the contractor moved on to that site for a 1-year template build model. And I would just appeal, Minister, please, this is my top priority in politics right now, to get this school delivered. And I would appeal to you and your office to use every power available to you. And maybe there's a global issue here in terms of procurement law that we need to look at. And I've mentioned this before, that if a contractor is consistently behind and not meeting specified target demands on his contract, he should in no way be allowed to apply for contracts and public contracts. And we've seen this in this state recently again with the HSE, a contractor who had run into difficulties in other contracts. We need a traffic light system ingrained in our procurement law that contractors can be excluded based on past performance, and that if a procurement team excludes them, that it doesn't lead to a court
Ministers,
case.
2 minutes to respond.
Yeah, just look to reiterate the importance of the meeting this week. I think it's on Friday, as far as I'm led to believe. And I think, as you said yourself, I think a degree of honesty and cards on the table at that meeting, because the community deserve nothing less to find out, is this happening or is it not happening? And I won't put anything more on the record as to what may happen after that meeting, but all I'll say is, and I'll appeal again, there's so many good groups, so many good people working this project. I've met them down on site when you invited me down, Deputy. They all want it to happen, and look, we live in the real world too. Maybe there's reasons why it's not happening, but honesty is required here. We need honesty at that meeting on Friday, and I'm making a personal appeal to the contractor. I don't know the contractor personally, but I'm making a public appeal for the contractor just to meet this community head on for the first time and be as honest as possible, because there's been too many false dawns, too many expectations heightened, and I know it's an issue for the whole of the constituency, and other deputies have raised it in here as well, Deputy. But I just want to say to you once again, and thank you for keeping this issue alive. But let's see what happens Friday, and hopefully with a degree of honesty and cards on the table and upfrontness, and just, as I say, a wee bit of honesty, that will make progress on Friday.